I never thought I'd smile while watching flames lick the edges of a Polaroid photo. The one where Mark's arm was slung around my shoulders like we owned the world. But there I was, in the dim glow of my single-bulb kitchenette, holding that match to the corner until his grin curled black and vanished. It wasn't the fire that burned me, it was realizing I'd confessed to his crime. Spent 3 years in a cage for it, only for him to build an empire on my silence. And now, as the super handed me that eviction notice for the unauthorized sublet, his smug signature at the bottom, I knew payback wasn't just coming, it was already here. They say revenge is a dish best served cold.
But mine?
It was boiling over, served straight from the heart of the beast I'd helped create. Mark Whitaker, the man who'd whispered sweet nothings about forever while pocketing client funds from his Wall Street firm, had pinned it all on me, his wide-eyed fiancée, the perfect patsy. I'd taken the plea deal, the slap on the wrist that still cost me my law license, my family, everything. For us, he'd said, kissing me through the bars on visiting day. Liar. And the kicker? The building he now lorded over as the slick new owner, the same crumbling pre-war walk-up in Hell's Kitchen where we dreamed of starting a life, was the one place I could end him without lifting a finger. Or so I thought. But the real shock hit when I saw her face in the lobby mirror that morning, reflected back like a ghost from my past. Elena, Mark's widow, all Botox and designer grief, herding their 2 kids into the elevator like she owned the joint. She didn't recognize me, not the Harmony who'd crashed on their couch after prison, scraping by on gig work, subletting that ratty 5th-floor unit under a fake name. To her, I was just another broke tenant, a nobody to bully out. Pack your things by noon, the notice read, her elegant scrawl adding insult. Little did she know, I'd bought the deed 6 months ago through a shell company. Every mortgage payment a silent stake in their downfall. Today, the tables weren't turning, they were flipping the whole damn board. I'd always been the fixer, the one who smoothed edges and swallowed shards. Growing up in a Rust Belt suburb outside Pittsburgh, where Dad flipped burgers at Denny's and Mom chain-smoked her way through night shifts at the mill, I learned early that loyalty was currency. You didn't question it, you spent it. That's how I ended up at Columbia Law on scholarships and grit. How I met Mark at a fur mixer in Midtown, him, all ivy polish and easy charm.
Me,
the scrappy underdog who made him laugh. We were fire and gasoline, the kind of match that scorches everything in its path. It started small. A creative accounting tweak here, a offshore wire there. Mark's boss at Whitaker and Klein was old-school ruthless, the kind who golfed with senators and buried bodies in tax shelters. When the SEC started sniffing around a $2 million shortfall in the pension fund, Mark panicked. "It's nothing, babe," he'd say, pacing our tiny one-bedroom off Broadway, his tie loosened like a noose. Just a timing issue. But I saw the sweat on his brow, the way his hand trembled on the Scotch glass. I was the paralegal then, buried in Discovery Docks. And one night, bleary-eyed at 3 a.m., I found the trail, dummy accounts in my name, backdated emails making it look like I'd greenlit the diversions. "Harm, you're my rock," he begged, dropping to his knees in our kitchen, tears streaking his perfect jawline. "If this goes south, it's my career, our future. Marry me first, make it look like insider collusion. We'll fight it together. Lies wrapped in love. The oldest con." I said yes, signed the ring on my finger, and the false confession off the record. When the feds kicked in our door at dawn, I was the one in cuffs. Mark devastated on the news feeds, Pleading for justice. 3 years at Bedford Hills. Minimum security, but maximum soul crush. The stares from guards who knew I was framed. The letters from mom that stopped coming after year 1. The mirror that showed a stranger with tattoos from a desperate fling and eyes hollowed by regret. Parole came early for good behavior. I kept my head down, studied contracts in the prison library like they were scripture. Out in the free world, New York had moved on without me. Mark? He'd spun the scandal into gold, testifying against me in exchange for immunity, landing a corner office at a boutique firm specializing in white-collar redemption. Elena, his high school sweetheart, who'd conveniently resurfaced post-arrest, was the arm candy-turned-trophy wife. They bought the old Harlan Arms, that sagging Art Deco relic on 10th Avenue, renovated it into luxury lofts for tech bros and influencers. Irony? The building's previous owner was a client I'd defended pro bono before the fall, a sweet old widow who'd willed her estate to the girl who believed in second chances. I'd tucked that away, a seed in barren soil. 6 months post-release, I cashed in. Anonymous LLC, laundered through a friendly realtor in Queens. $4.2 million for the deed, every penny from freelance ghostwriting legal briefs and a settlement from the firm that hung me out to dry. I moved in as Hannah Ruiz, a mousy barista with a sob story and a sublet from a fictional aunt. 5th floor, Unit 5B, peeling wallpaper. A view of the alley where junkies shot up under sodium lamps. Close enough to watch them, Mark striding out in Brioni suits. Elena Pilates-toned and Botox fresh. The kids, little Ava and Theo, with their private tutors and iPads. I'd linger in the lobby, invisible, noting the security codes, the maintenance schedules. The way Mark's laugh echoed hollow now. The betrayal festered like an open wound. I'd visit the prison library in my mind, replaying the day Elena showed up at visiting hours.
6 months in.
He's so broken without you, she'd cooed, her diamond tennis bracelet glinting like a taunt. But the kids. We need stability.
Kids?
She'd been pregnant. She confessed tearfully. Mark's one-night mistake during our engagement haze. I swallowed it. Wrote letters of support for his immunity deal from my cell. For family,
Right?
that's what fixers do. But late nights in 5B, scrolling Zillow on my cracked phone, I plotted. Not violence, too messy, too final.
No.
I'd dismantle their world brick by brick, starting with the home they thought was theirs. It began innocently enough. An anonymous tip to the DOB about unpermitted renos, exposed wiring in the basement, asbestos in the vents. Fines piled up. $50,000 here, $20,000 there. Siphoned from their lifestyle slush fund.
Then.
Whispers to the Tenants Association, leaks about Mark's questionable firm practices. Enough to spark a class action murmur. Elena's yoga studio in the ground floor commercial space? I'd hike the utilities. Watch her panic over blackouts during peak classes. Small cuts. Surgical. But they adapted. Like roaches. Mark hired a PI. Beefed up the supers patrols. That's when I got sloppy, left a takeout bag from our old spot, Gino's Pizza, in the communal trash. He found it. I know he did. Because the next week, the eviction notice slid under my door. Unauthorized sublet. Vacate by 12 p.m. tomorrow or face sheriff's lockout. Signed,
M.
Whitaker, proprietor. My hands shook as I read it. Not from fear, but fury. They'd combed the leases, pegged me as the holdout in a building flipping to condos. Elena's doing. No doubt, she'd always hated the help, the supers and cleaners who reminded her of her Jersey roots. I crumpled it, tossed it in the sink, and lit another match. Not to the photo this time, to the lease agreement I'd forged. Time to stop playing mouse. The next morning, rain hammered tenth like God's own judgment, turning the sidewalks to rivers of slush and regret. I dressed for war, thrift store trench over jeans and boots, hair pulled back tight, no makeup to hide the scars. Lobby was buzzing, tenants huddled under umbrellas, griping about the leak in the mailroom ceiling I'd accidentally exacerbated with a well-placed garden hose. There was Raj from 3C, the Uber driver with dreams of med school, Lena and her wife from 2A, artists scraping by on commissions, old Mr. Kowalski in 4D, a Korean War vet nursing cheap bourbon and grudges. They were the collateral, the innocence in my vendetta, and that twist in my gut, guilt, sharp as rebar. But Mark and Elena, they were the foundation, and foundations crack first. I cornered the super, Carlos, by the mailboxes, a burly Dominican with a saint's medallion and eyes that saw too much. "Tell Whitaker I'm not going anywhere," I said, voice low, shoving the notice back at him. He shrugged, mustache twitching. "Lady, you see the signatures? Board's unanimous. Place is going co-op next month, cash buyers only. Unanimous." That meant Elena's wine nights in the penthouse, schmoozing the holdouts with Merlot and sob stories about family legacy built on my bones. By noon, the sheriff's van idled curbside, lights off but ominous as a hearse. I stood in the hallway outside 5B, boxes half-packed with my life's detritus, prison journals, a single photo of Mom before the cancer, the engagement ring I'd pawned but bought back on a whim. Footsteps echoed, Carlos, flanked by 2 uniforms, clipboards out. MS. Ruiz, time's up. I nodded, slow, letting them see the defeat in my shoulders. Let them think they'd won. As they taped the yellow notice to my door, I slipped past, down to the basement laundry, where the building's real pulse thrummed, ancient boilers hissing like serpents, fuse boxes humming with power. There, in the cobweb-draped corner, was my ace, the original deed, notarized under Harbor Holdings LLC, my proxy. I'd stashed it months ago, behind a loose panel, next to the rat poison and forgotten holiday lights. Fingers tracing the embossed seal, I felt the shift, the power surge from victim to architect. Upstairs, they were toasting my exit, no doubt. Mark's deep chuckle, Elena's tinkling laugh, the clink of glasses. "One less headache," he'd say, arm around her waist. But headaches? I was the migraine that wouldn't quit. That night, I didn't leave. Crashed on Raj's couch after a pity beer, spinning yarns about evictions in the Bronx to blend in. Dawn broke gray and unforgiving, and I was back in the lobby when the board meeting hit. Elena, in cashmere and pearls, droned about upscale vision, her eyes scanning for dissent. Mark loomed by the elevators, phone glued to his ear, barking at associates. Our eyes met, mine steady, his flickering with.
What?
Recognition? Paranoia? He looked away first, jaw clenching.
Good.
Let the doubt creep in. By week's end, the first domino fell. An email blast from anonymous tenant, scan docs showing Mark's firm under DOJ probe for the same fraud fingerprints. Whispers turned to shouts in the group chat, Raj forwarding articles, Lena polling for a rent strike. Elena's studio shuttered early. Plumbing issues. I'd insured with a sabotaged pipe. Mark's PI turned up empty on Hannah Ruiz, but I saw him in the lobby at odd hours, circling like a shark scenting chum. The flip? He started small-talking the vets, buying Kowalski's silence with a case of doers. Classic Mark, charm as currency, betrayal as fine print. But I was done being the footnote. Late one shift at the coffee shop. Steaming lattes for hipsters who wouldn't spit on me if I burned. I got the call. Unknown number. Voice like gravel. Harmony? It's been a while. My blood iced. Not Mark, his lawyer. Slick as oil. From the old firm. Client wants to settle. Off books. Meet at the Oak Room. Tomorrow noon. Settle. As if I were the problem. I hung up, pulse hammering, and texted my own proxy, accelerate the co-op filing. Let the vulture circle. The Oak Room was old money incarnate, mahogany panels, scotch that cost a kidney, whispers of deals that toppled dynasties. I arrived early, nursing a club soda, watching the door. Mark entered alone. No Elena. No muscle. Taller than I remembered. Silver threading his temples, but the eyes, predator blue. Same as always. He slid into the booth, signaling the waiter with a nod. Scotch.
Neat.
And whatever she's having, make it a double. Hannah, I corrected, voice even. Let him sweat the name. He leaned in, cologne cutting the air like a blade. Cut the shit. Harm. I know it's you. The tips, the leaks, petty, but effective. A smile. Wolfish. Missed that fire in you. I sipped. Slow. Fire? You doused it. Remember? Locked me away while you played house. His face softened. The actor's mask. I was scared. We both were. Elena. The pregnancy blindsided me. But I never stopped loving you. Lies. Layered like Philo. He reached across. Fingers brushing mine, the same touch that once melted me. Come back. Penthouse is yours. We evict the riffraff. Start fresh. For old times. The offer hung. Toxic honey. Part of me, the fixer, the fool, wanted to grab it, bury the hatchet in his chest later. But the woman in the mirror, the one with ink on her knuckles from a cell block pact, she laughed. Old times? Like when I confessed to your theft so you could testify against a ghost. He winced. Genuine? I paid for it. Therapy. AA, Elena's idea.
But yeah.
I fucked up. Let me fix it. Flip number 1, from kingpin to penitent, eyes pleading like visiting day. I pulled back, letting the silence stretch.
Outside.
Taxis honked. The city indifferent. Send the papers. I'll think.
Lie.
As he left, check covering the tab with a flourish. I texted the proxy. Pull the trigger. That night, the building groaned like a dying beast. Sirens wailed distant, but inside, tension crackled. Tenants banged doors, demanding town halls. Elena cornered me in the stairwell, me, hauling my boxes like a whipped dog. You, she hissed, acrylics digging my arm. Stirring shit. I know your type, jealous. Clinging. Her breath. Mint over Merlot.
Mark told me about you.
The ex-con barista. Pack faster, or I'll have you trespassed. I met her gaze. Saw the fracture. Fear behind the facade. Mark tells you everything? Soft. Probing. She faltered.
Released me.
More than enough. But her eyes darted secrets. Plural. Up in 5B, still mine. Locks changed by dawn. I unfolded the lawyer's prelims. Buried in clause 14, a kicker. Mark's settlement included a gag order, but also a codicil. Elena's signature, dated pre-arrest. She'd known about the fraud, funneled tips to the firm. My fall? Their launchpad. Deeper betrayal. A tag team takedown. Rage boiled.
Pure.
I grabbed my laptop. Drafted the co-op prospectus. Units auctioned to the highest bidders. Starting bids triple rent. Notices posted by morning, digital and dog-eared on every door. The building awoke to chaos. Raj pounding my door. He'd figured me out over beers. Begging alliance. Kowalski muttering curses in Polish. Lena sketching protest signs. Mark called thrice. Voicemails escalating from coax to curse. Elena? Radio silence. But I saw her from the fire escape, pacing the penthouse terrace. Phone to ear. Face ashen. The flip came at the emergency board meeting. Crammed into the basement rec room. Folding chairs scraping concrete. Air thick with sweat and suspicion. Mark took the floor. Ty Askew. Selling salvation. Temporary hold on co-op. We'll fight the fines together. Cheers.
Tentative.
Then Elena burst in. Heels clicking like gunfire. Waving printouts. Lies. He's bankrupt. Used building equity for his firm's bailouts. Her voice cracked. Betrayal raw. She'd hacked his emails. Or bribed the accountant, didn't matter. The room erupted. Fingers jabbing. Alliances shattering. I watched from the shadows. Heart pounding. Mark's face, shock. Then fury. Lunging for her. You bitch, after everything? She dodged. Tears streaming. Everything? You promised me the penthouse deed in your will.
Mark.
For the kids.
Kids.
Plural now, Ava.
Theo.
And the one she'd whispered about in prison. The mistake that bound us all. Controversy crackled. Was she the villain? Exposing him for greed? Or hero? Protecting her brood? Mark spun. Charming the crowd. She's hysterical, postpartum. You know. Sexist slight. But it landed with the old guard. Fists clenched. Shouts peaked. That's when I stepped forward. Deed in hand. Actually, I said, voice cutting the din like a gavel. The building's already sold. To me. Silence. Profound. Eyes on me, Hannah. The nobody. Now queen. Mark's jaw dropped. Elena's eyes widened in horror. Harmony, she breathed. Recognition dawned. The ghost unveiled. Surprise, I said, smiling that old fixer smile. But inside, storm. The revenge I'd craved tasted like ash sweet, but scorching. And as they turned on each other, clawing for scraps, I wondered, had I won? Or just become the monster they made? The basement rec room felt like a pressure cooker after the bomb I dropped. Steam rising from the ancient radiator like the collective exhale of 40 souls who'd just seen God flip the bird. Mark recovered first. That boardroom baritone kicking in. This is a joke. Right? Some activist stunt. He laughed. Forced. Clapping slowly. Bravo. Hannah or Harmony.
Was it? Cute.
But check the title search. Whitaker Properties holds clear. Elena hovered by the vending machine, clutching those printouts like a shield. Her glossed lips parted in betrayal's aftershock. The tenant shifted, Raj crossing arms. Skeptical, Kowalski chuckling into his flask, Lena's wife snapping photos for the gram. I held up the deed, letting the notary seal catch the bare bulb's glare. Clear as your conscience.
Mark.
Harbor Holdings, filed last Tuesday. Your lawyer rubber-stamped it, thinking it was a refinance. Bluff on the lawyer. But close enough, I'd greased palms with ghostwriting fees. Murmurs swelled. A tech bro from 6F Googled the LLC on his phone, nodding grim. She's legit. It's public record. Elena's face strained to chalk.
You. How?
Prison payout. Venom. But laced with fear, the kind that comes when your McMansion's built on sand. She lunged, snatching at the paper. I sidestepped, cool as the concrete underfoot.
Easy.
Elena. That's not how we do things in Hell's Kitchen. Votes. Not violence. Mark's eyes narrowed, calculating. Flip 2, from denial to diplomacy. He raised hands, peacemaker pose. Okay.
Harm. Talk to me.
Off the record. What's your number?
Penthouse.
Alimony. Whatever. We go back. The room tensed. Raj snorted. Go back. She did your time. Man. Whispers agreed. My prison stint. Pieced from lobby gossip. Now legend. Kowalski spat. Frame job. Seen it in Nam. I let it hang. The weight of their stares pinning me. Truth time? Partial. 3 years for his creative accounting. I confessed. Thought it was love. Gasps. A few claps. Elena's turn. Liar. You weren't on it, both skimming for that beach house dream. Her accusation landed like a gut punch. Controversial shrapnel. Was I innocent lamb or willing wolf? I'd known the edges blurred. Initialed a few docs myself. Fixer reflex. The crowd split. Sympathy for me from the working stiffs. Suspicion from the yuppies who'd benefited from cheap renos. Enough, Mark barked, slamming a fist on the ping-pong table. Cards on the table. He'd been siphoning since law school. Elena complicit from day one. Wiring funds to her charity that was really a Cayman slush. My confession? The escape hatch.
But now.
Exposed. He flipped again, ruthless.
Fine. You own it? Sue me.
I'll bury you in litigation till you're back in stripes. Threats. Naked. Elena nodded fierce. Alliance reforming in crisis. And the kids, you wouldn't hurt innocence. Would you? Harmony. Innocence. The word clawed. Ava and Theo. Gap-toothed terrors with light-up sneakers. Splashing in lobby puddles. And the third? Elena's prison whisper echoed. It's his.
But.
Complications. Miscarriage? Abortion? She'd never said. But the guilt in her eyes now screamed unfinished business. My hand drifted to my own flat belly, empty, scarred from stress dreams in the joint. Controversial? Hell yes. Was I avenging betrayal? Or punishing ghosts? The meeting dissolved into anarchy. Petitions circulated. Lawyers name-dropped. Someone cracked a window to air the rage. I slipped out. Deed tucked safe. Pulse thundering. Up the stairs 5 flights. Knees protesting like old friends. I locked 5B's new deadbolt. Collapsed against it. Adrenaline crash hit hard. Tears came. Hot and unbidden. Victory? Tasted like regret's bile. I'd wanted them broken. Not this fractured mirror of my own mess. Phone buzzed. Unknown. Again. Voicemail. Elena. Voice quaver.
We need to talk.
Penthouse.
Now.
For the kids. Trap. Olive branch. I grabbed a hoodie. Slipped out the fire escape. Old habit from lockdown drills. Rain had eased to mist. Neon from the bodega below painting the alley in pinks and blues. Penthouse access was rooftop only. A wrought iron spiral I climbed silent as sin, heart hammering each creak. She waited alone. Terrace lanterns casting her in ethereal glow, silk robe over Lululemon. Hair loose. No armor. Wine glass trembled in her grip. Come in. Before he gets back. Inside. The space mocked me. Our old IKEA salvaged and upscaled. Abstract art where my law books once leaned. Photos everywhere, family portraits, Mark beaming, kids gap-toothed. And one, tucked on a shelf, me and him, pre-arrest, laughing at Coney Island. Elena caught me staring. He kept it. Said you were the one who got away. I snorted, perching on a bar stool. Got away? Or got? Pour myself a splash, cab, she kept stocked. Irony noted. She paced, robe whispering. Look, I didn't know about the frame job at first. Mark swore it was legit, joint venture. Then the feds. I panicked. The baby, voice broke. She sank onto the sectional, knees tucked. Miscarried at 5 months. Stress.
Doc said.
Blamed you. After. Easier than facing him. Confession spilled. Her complicity. The wires. The lies to keep the lifestyle. But the kids now, they're real. Don't tank us for him. Flip 3. From foe to fragile. Her eyes. Makeup streaked. Pleated like mine had in the joint. Sympathy stirred. Treacherous. Why tell me? Leverage? Because you're not him.
You're
hurt. Like me. She rose. Fetched a folder from the desk. Prenup drafts. Asset splits. Divorce him. We team up. Sell the building fair. Split with tenants. New start. Tempting. The fixer in me purred. Moral high ground. Redemption arc. But the revenger? She saw the con. Elena's team up reeked of survival. Not sisterhood. Still, I pocketed a copy. Think on it.
Meanwhile,
co-op proceeds. Left her there, staring at the skyline. City lights blurring her tears. Downstairs. Mark ambushed in the lobby, shadows long from the night desk lamp. What did she offer? Half. Told you she's poison. His hand on my elbow. Grip firm. Familiar. Walk with me. Out to the stoop. Rain-slick steps where we'd once necked like teens. He lit a cig, new habit. Stress fracture. Truth? I never stopped. Elena was. Convenience. You were fire. Flip 4, lover reborn. Whispering heat. His free hand traced my jaw. Thumb on lip, electric. Unwanted. Burn it down with me. Or let me burn for you. Lips parted. Mine for a traitor's kiss?
No.
I stepped back. Breath ragged. Burn? Already did. In a 6x9 with your name on it. Twisted away. But his laugh followed low. Knowing. You're in deep. Harm. We all are. Sleep evaded that night. 5B a cocoon of what-ifs. Dawn brought escalation. News vans outside. Tipped by Lena's posts. Corrupt landlord expose. Mark's firm distancing.
Stock stipping.
Tenants rallied. Protest signs. Chants echoing off brick. Raj knocked. Eyes wild. You're the owner? Hero shit.
But.
Evict him. Divided loyalty. Mirroring my gut. By noon, the climax brewed. Emergency auction. Virtual bids pouring in from vulture funds. I oversaw from the super's office. Carlos at my side. Grumbling but loyal once the back pay cleared. Bids climbed, $6 million. $7, enough to float the tenants into co-op shares. Per my quiet pledge. But Mark crashed the feed. Hacking in from God knows where, face on the communal TV. Suit rumpled. Don't do this. She's unstable, history of fraud.
Me.
Projected as villain. Gasps. Phones out recording. Elena countered. Bursting in with the kids in tow, Ava clutching a stuffed fox. Theo wide-eyed. Daddy's lying. Mommy says he's the bad guy. Chaos. Tears. Shouts. A shoved chair toppling. Mark's on-screen rage. Get them out. She's turning them against me. Flip 5. From patriarch to pariah. His charm curdling to curses. I muted him. Heart splintering. This was the peak, the revenge I'd engineered. Now a circus of shattered lives. Tenants turned, half cheering my justice, half decrying the family wrecker. Controversial core, was I liberator or destroyer? Mark's crime mine by proxy, Elena's complicity a mirror to my silence. No saints here, just sinners clawing light. As bids hit $8.50, sealing the flip. Sirens wailed anew, not news.
But blue.
Cops. Badges flashing. Harmony Reyes? Warrant for identity fraud. Mark's parting shot. The bastard tipped my alias to old firm pals with DA pull. Elena's eyes met mine across the fray. Pity? Triumph? She mouthed. Run. But fixers don't run. I raised hands. Cuffs clicking cold. Take me. One last look. The building. My weapon turned witness. The crowd. Divided in applause and jeers. Mark's ghost on screen. Smirking faint. Into the van. Zip-tied and zen. I whispered to the dark. Twist coming. They thought this the end?
Nah.
The real hook? That miscarriage Elena confessed? Ultrasound pics in her folder. Dated post-arrest. Not his. Mine IVF embryo she'd borrowed from our clinic file. Implanted on a whim. The kid?
Ours.
In a twisted genetic knot. Debatable legacy, savior or curse. The precinct holding cell smelled like stale coffee and despair. The kind that seeps into your pores and lingers like bad ink. Rikers bound again. They said, federal hold for the fraud rap. Enhanced by my flight risk history. Irony? The cuffs were looser this time. My mind sharper. I'd lawyered up en route, a shark from legal aid with a grudge against Whitaker and Klein. Briefed via smuggled note on the deed's legit chain. Sit tight, she'd texted. Twists in the mail. But sitting tight? Not my style. As the guards shuffle me to intake, past the bullpen where detectives nurse mugs and scrolled tip lines. I caught a snippet on the wall-mounted TV. Hell's Kitchen uproar, landlord's scandal rocks tenants. Grainy footage of the auction melee. My face pixelated but unmistakable. Commentator droned. Is Harmony Reyes a whistleblower or white-collar wolf? Sources say she served time for the very man she's targeting. Divided airwaves already. Fox calling me vindictive ex. MSNBC betrayed underdog.
Good.
Let the nation pick sides. I'd scripted the debate. Visitation slot came at dusk. Fluorescent buzz the only light. Elena first. Alone. Her Chanel clashing with the cinder block. She clutched a manila envelope. Knuckles white. I dropped the charges, told them it was a misunderstanding. Your alias? My idea. To test loyalties. Lie or lifeline. Her eyes darted. Same as the terrace plea. Mark's raging, sued the building.
Me?
Everyone. Kids are with a sitter. Traumatized. I leaned to the plexiglass. Voice low. Traumatized? Like me at sentencing. Mark's arm around you on the courthouse steps. Her flinch confirmed. Photos would surface. Viral fuel. What's the play? Elena? Absolution. She slid the envelope under the partition. Ultrasound.
Proof. It's
Viable. Frozen. Waiting. The twist she'd buried. Post-miscarriage grief twisted to theft. Hacking our clinic records. Yoinking the embryo we'd banked pre-arrest as just in case. Implanted it months back. Then lost it in the chaos.
now?
Leverage. Or love. Carry it. Or destroy it. Your call. But end this for her. Her. Singular. Female. Echoes of mom's lullabies in the mill break room. Soft against the clang. Controversial gut punch. Was this redemption? A family forged in fraud? Or manipulation? Elena's final flip to bind me in blood? I pocketed the pics. Nodded. Out by morning? Bet on it. She rose. Robe swapped for power suit, exiting with a sway that screamed survivor. Mark next. Swagger intact despite the dishevel. No envelope, just a smirk through the glass. Leveraged the X.
Huh.
Classic harm. He sat. Legs man-spread like he owned the joint. Offer stands. Drop the suit. I quash the warrant. We co-parent. Whatever this is. Gesture vague. Encompassing the embryo bombshell. How'd he know? Elena's leak. Or his PI's long game. I tapped the glass. Rhythmic. Co-parent? After you pinned your sins on me?
Nah.
But I'll bite. Walk away clean. Buildings co-op now. Tenants own shares. Fines waived via my cut. You and Elena? Out by month's end. No alimony clawback. His laugh barked. Echoing off bars.
Generous.
But the kid? Mine too. DNA don't lie. Flip 6, from suitor to sire. Claiming stake in the surreal. We raise her right, private schools. Trust funds. No more fixer bullshit. The vision snagged. A girl with his eyes. My grit. Toddling Hell's Kitchen stoops. Happy ending? Or biopic tragedy? Cycles unbroken? DNA's just code.
Mark.
Nurtures the knife. Stood. Signaling end. Papers by dawn. Or the embryo thaws solo. He rose slow. Face hardening. You won't.
Deep down.
You're still that Pittsburgh girl, family first. Door clanged behind him. Leaving the echo. Was he right? Or projecting his own cracks? Dawn broke with release papers. Elena's affidavit quelling the fraud charge. Mark's countersuit mysteriously withdrawn. Out into the gray. A cab idling courtesy of the tenant's fund. Raj's doing. Text said, heroes welcome. The Harlan Arms loomed blocks away. Scaffold now with co-op banners fluttering like white flags. Lobby buzzed. Kowalski toasting with thermos bourbon. Lena sketching murals for the Reno vote. Carlos nodding respect from the desk. Penthouse key waited in my P.O. box. Elena's note. Yours. We split the proceeds fair. Inside. Stripped bare. Walls echoing. Our old photo gone. But a new addition on the mantel. Crib assembled. Neutral linens folded. The folder open beside clinic cords. Transfer docs sign blank. Choice mine. The call came mid-unpack. Mark. Voice strained. Deals on. But one condition, dinner. Neutral ground. Foreclosure.
Pause.
Loaded. Or curiosity. I glanced at the skyline. Hudson churning below. Curiosity? Hell. Yeah. The oak room again. Twilight hush. He waited at the same booth. Scotch half gone. Elena absent. She bailed. Said it's your circus now. No charm offensive, just raw. Truth? I envied you in there. Free. In a way.
Me?
Chained to the lie. Confessions floodgate. The fraud's roots in his dad's suicide. Firm pressure. Elena's ambition, the accelerant. My fall? Cowardice. Not calculation. I'd do it different.
But.
The kid? Let's not repeat. Flip 7. Villain to vulnerable. Offering olive laced with thorns. I sipped water. Clear as resolve. No repeats. You walk. I carry. Co-parent distant holidays. Funds. No strings. His nod. Reluctant. And the building? Tenants now. Legacy. Not loot. Sealed with a handshake, electric still.
But severed.
Weeks blurred. Embryo transfer. A quiet procedure in a midtown clinic. Heartbeat flickering on the screen like Morse for second chance. Elena vanished to the Hamptons. Divorce papers filed mutual. Mark, relocated to D.C. Consulting gig with lobbyists watching from afar. Checks arriving prompt. The Harlan Arms thrived. Ground floor co-op cafe. Rooftop garden where Ava and Theo played supervised weekends. Their mom a ghost but generous with alimony.
Me?
Harmony Reyes. Owner turned steward. Crashing 5B till the Reno vote bumped me to the penthouse. Irony embraced. Mornings. Belly swelling subtle. I'd trace the skyline from the terrace. City pulse sinking with the flutter inside. Revenge? Delivered. Debated. Forums raged. She should have torched it. Versus. Forgiveness arc. Iconic. No one's hands clean. Mine ink stained from the deed that started it all. Twist's tale. 6 months in. A letter from Elena.
Postmarked jersey.
Chose life. For her. But if it's a boy, name him after your dad. Redemption's a group project. Enclosed, a Polaroid. Singed edges, our old beach shot. Her match this time. Burned bridge. Or buried hatchet. I lit it anyway. Watching curls rise in the ashtray. Not destruction, release. The girl kicked. Insistent. Her world? Brighter. Maybe. Mine? Uplifting fog. Tense but true. In America, revenge isn't a straight shot, it's a loop. Controversial as a jury poll. And as the Hudson gleamed under sodium dusk, I whispered to the bump, we'll fix it different.
Kid.
Together. But late nights, doubts crept. Was the win hollow? A Pyrrhic crown? Mark's check spot cribs. Not closure. Elena's silence. A truce or trap. The tenants' cheers. Gratitude or pity. Debatable end. Happy in the haze. Tragic in the truth. That's the American dream. Build your empire on bones. Then wonder if it's worth the wait. Fade to skyline. Rain tapping glass like applause.
Curtain.